Happy Friday! It is a little Girl Talk Live for ya. I've got a special guest, and I'm gonna try to invite her right now. Here we go. Hi! Hi, everybody. Hey, how are you? How are you doing? Your hair's so cute.
I'm good. How are you? Am I coming through okay?
I can hear you. Uh-oh, I think you paused a little bit. Can you can you see me? Hear me?
Okay, wait. Now I think I'm here.
Okay. It's paused on our okay, there you are. There you are.
Okay. Okay.
It's the joys of live. Your hair's so cute. I love it.
Oh, thanks. It's like all greasy, so.
Well, it looks super, super cute. Hello to everybody that's joining. It's a special one today. Heather, thank you so much for responding to my DM. Just
Of
for everybody
course.
that's watching, Heather and I, this is the first time we've met, like face to virtual face, right? Um, but just a little backdrop. So a couple of weeks ago, I was in my stories and I was talking about founders and how far I've come, and I'm so close, and but yet so far. And a couple of people were like, "What is founders?" And I'm like, "Oh, wait, have I never like broken it down for the people, right?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't feel like I am qualified to speak on it quite yet, right? Maybe I could get a founder to come and share." And so I just slid into Heather's DM and I was like, could you maybe? And it was just such a quick yes, which is, I think, testament to the culture, right, that doTERRA has. Just such a quick yes. And I'm super grateful to have you. So, everybody, if you don't know, this is Heather Reed. She is a doTERRA Diamond, and she was the second US founder 2.0. So you did it in how many months?
It was about 6.5-ish.
Wow. You did a lot in 6.5 months. That's amazing. So I wanted you to just join us. I have so many questions, but I'm going to try to be sensitive to your time. So I guess maybe let's just start with where are you from?
So I'm from New York, but since actually we hit founders and then a couple months later we moved to Florida, so we're in Florida now.
Oh, okay, cool. What part? I'm just curious.
Like the Tampa area.
Nice. Okay, cool. So we'll be down there next week. I won't come harass you, I promise. Um, okay, so New York to Florida. All right. So tell us, what is Founders? Just let's start there.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, you don't need a founder to talk about founders, but I get it makes it more exciting. So for sure,
Yes.
but you
Yes.
are, you're going to be there. So
Okay.
anyway, um, okay. So founders, and I think I have my audience on here too, right? And so you
Mm-hmm.
probably understand it, as well. But, basically, when there's a new market of any kind of company, not even just network marketing, there are founders that help establish the market, right? And so, even for us, when we open, and for doTERRA, when we open up in a new country, like for instance, we're weeks out from opening up in India, there's going to be Indian founders. So,
Mm-hmm.
this is normal for companies, right? This isn't like unique to doTERRA. Um, but here's what is unique with this opportunity. We had our first original founders, like when doTERRA first was a thing. They didn't know if doTERRA was even going to last as a company. Like, it was total risk, and true founders. And there was only 25 spots. And so they helped establish the US market. And, fast forward, we're a multi-billion dollar company. It was a good deal for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's so much growth, projected for doTERRA, that it's even bigger. Like, they're calling it a second wave. That's actually, people say all the time, like, oh, you can only like do
Right.
well in network marketing if you get in the beginning. Number one, false. especially with doTERRA, the way that it's structured, but that's a different conversation. But now you actually don't even have that excuse, even more so, because um, because this second wave is projected to be even bigger than, you know, getting to our first billion in the US. So doTERRA said, okay, there's a lot of growth that's about to happen. We're dead on with our projections and the outside sources that come in and look at the essential oil industry as a whole, and then doTERRA keeps up with those trends and actually usually beats them. And so we're talking massive, like billions and billions of dollars of growth that is about to be for doTERRA. And so they said, how can we use this opportunity to, you know, rise and let leaders rise, and identify the next generation of leaders. So the original founders, those 25, decided to cap their income at that first billion. And then anything between that first and second billion, that's kind of the goal too, is to have our, you know, help bridge that from 1 billion in the US to 2 billion. We're much larger than that globally, but this is about the US, right? So anyway, they capped their income to give it to 200 people, 200 opportunities, right? To have a share in that 1 billion of sales, between 1 billion and 2 billion. So that's kind of where you have it. There's 200 spots open. There's like 175 left, something like that. Yep. It's been going on much longer than we thought it would, and I'll stop rambling here so you can ask more questions.
Yeah,
but basically though, the opportunity is for anyone, and it's actually purposely geared towards brand new wellness advocates. So like, if you're watching this, you've never even picked up an essential oil, you literally have a shot, not just a shot, a better shot than majority of the company, because there's more growth potential created for newer people. And so it's really, yeah, it's to show like who's going to rise and claim one of these spots, which is based on points and growing your business, and be a leader for the next coming generations.
Yeah, I love it. So I'm glad that I invited you here, because I actually did not fully understand it. So I didn't realize that the original founders, that was very kind of them. That was very kind of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the backstory. Now I'll tell you that a little bit about my story. I started with doTERRA in 2018, and I was just like, you know, I just, you know, it's no big deal. I was not aspiring for anything beyond, like, you know, 5,000 a month sounds decent. I mean, that would be good, but you know, if I don't get that, no big deal, right? It wasn't a big deal. So I was very focused on my 1,500 power of 3, and so that's how I built. There was a little bit of a disconnect between me and my upline, just for various reasons. You know, life happens. And in April of 2020, because I was structuring for 3rd level power of 3, I hit silver. And I was like, oh, well, that's didn't expect that. And that was a nice, you know, silver 3rd level power of 3. That was a nice check. I was like, okay, now doTERRA. And then the next month, Founders was announced. And I initially ignored the emails. And I bet you there's a lot of people out there that may still be ignoring the, like, I just assumed that it wasn't for me. I assumed that this was a program that was geared towards the higher ranking people who were fully into doTERRA. But after I hit silver, I got this, it seemed to be an email from above, from doTERRA. And it was like, hey, you just hit silver. Are you aware of Founders? Like, you need to look into this. And so like I read the email, and I was like, I think, like, I felt very like, I think I need to like probe into this, right? And I did. And I studied and I figured out the point system, and I was like, oh no, this is for me. Like, this is geared to someone who is brand new or someone in lower ranks. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm doing this, and full steam ahead. Do you find that a lot of people feel the same way? Like, oh, it's not for me? Or maybe not so much anymore, but at the beginning?
Yeah, no, I mean, still, like, because it's still on the table for brand new people. And so it still comes up for sure. And I had to like be talking about it and posting about it like a number of times over a number of months before people were like, okay, I've heard you say so many times for new people, but like, really? And I'm like, yeah, like, I'm telling you, you have a better chance, way better chance than any presidential.
Mm-hmm.
I was even in a sweet spot of like just being on the brink of hitting diamond because current diamond leaders actually are, I mean, it's really hard. They've got to make a big jump, whereas,
Mm-hmm.
you know, lower ranks, it's less ranks to hit. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, people definitely still think that, but I like shouted from the rooftops, like you could pick up your first essential oil tomorrow and hit the
And be
ground
a
running
founder.
if you want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think it'd be a lot easier. So when you found out about founders, you just tell me that story for you. Like where were you within doTERRA in your doTERRA journey, and how did you decide I'm gonna go for this?
Yeah. So, um, similar thing to you and feeling like it was like created for me. I had just, I think it was that same month, probably you hit silver. I had hit platinum for the first time, that April of
Hmm.
2020. And, um, so I was already like had my sights on hitting diamond and things like that. And so I, once I saw that first announcement of it or whatever, I was like it literally just blew my mind. So much because I just didn't think, I don't know, to do that again in the US, like that is going back to what we were talking about, like that is unique. That's
Hmm.
unique to doTERRA, and that's, you'll never see another company do this. Like
Hmm.
literally, mark my words, you just won't see that. Um, and what I mean by do that is, first of all, 25 people capping their own income. You won't see that. Talk about the culture, right?
Hmm.
To offer it to other people in a market that's already established. So those
Right.
first 25 had a lot of risk. Like I said, they didn't know if it was even going to survive as a company. And we have no risk. We're already
Hmm.
established and have all these great resources they didn't have in the beginning. And so it's, I mean, I hate to use this word, but it's kind of a guarantee. Like you, if you're going to do the work and you hit the points, you're a founder. You have
Hmm.
equity in a multi-billion-dollar company.
Hmm.
So my point saying this is I recognize that right away, how unique and genuinely once in a lifetime opportunity. Because again, you'll see other companies, right? Other network marketing companies, you can be founder, you can be founder. So you'll see that. But it's the reason they're doing that is because it's not an established market yet. It's they need you to do that. And so when I was like, whoa, I know where doTERRA is headed and the numbers we already have, I want a piece of that pie, right? And so
Hmm.
where I was in my journey as well, I had been with doTERRA already like 5 years.
Hmm.
So um, kind of like, I won't say in and out because I had built pretty much the whole time. But like, you know, I started in college. So I was like doing that during college and, you know, post grad and just like trying to figure life out. And then it was that year, halfway through 2019, that's when
Hmm.
I got married and also got pregnant right away. So that's when I did doTERRA like full time, was when,
Hmm.
you know, me and my husband got married and moved in together, and I was pregnant right away. Um so I really was looking to do this anyway. And so I was already wanting to go for diamond that year. And this just gave me more motivation to do it faster,
Yeah.
because also, side note for people watching, the point system is just for things you do to build your business. It's not anything out of the
Right.
ordinary.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. It's not. It's like they're paying you to do what you already said you're going to do, just doing it a little faster.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So that's awesome. Okay, so 6 months, 6.5 months, I think you just said. Um, how'd you do it? So you had to build a fourth leg, or had you already established it?
I well, let's see, when it was announced, I had just hit platinum, which is 3 legs. Um we had it in the works already, because like I
Okay.
said, we had it actually, I think I got that fourth leg up like just like the month or month and a half before though.
Hmm.
Or maybe no, maybe it was when I hit platinum. I also established a fourth leg, knowing that like I would kind of, you know,
Yeah.
platinum's a
Hmm.
funny rank, you kind of like skip
Hmm.
ahead. So
Hmm.
I had that established, and then that was like the leg that needed, you know, my others were already established, ready to go. And so all my energy just for that next 2 months, because I hit diamond in July, I should have said that.
Hmm.
Um uh yeah, all my effort
Most
went
focus
there.
there. Yeah, that's awesome. So well, okay, so I want to say I was listening to a podcast, and before you started this journey with dōTERRA for founders, you had done something already that was to me incredible. In a year, you paid off your student loans. It was like what, 32,000? Did I make that number up?
35,000. Yep.
35,000 in a year. And so you used Dave Ramsey's who I love. That book was transformational for me, let me tell you. I love what you said, that doing that gave you trust in yourself. You knew that you could do the hard things. So can you talk a little bit about how those two journeys kind of align and you felt maybe more prepared to go into this push?
Yeah. Yep. They were so connected. Yeah. So first of all, Dave Ramsey, everything for money. Like, honestly, don't even question it. It works. Just follow his everything if you're looking to get out of debt. Which by the way, side note, like, I love that that's a thing of dōTERRA, is that they want to be the company known to get the most people out of debt. Again, with the culture, not that it's a bad thing, but other companies are just like giving, like, they're more focused on the flashy things and giving away like cars and things like that. That's fine. Like, that's fine. But anyway, this is just so much more aligned. And like I said, I was encouraged by dōTERRA to become debt free from my student loans. So anyway, why that played a part, so many reasons. Oh my gosh, I could do a whole thing just on this, but I guess let me try to bullet point it as like, one is like Dave Ramsey's all about like sacrificing now for later. So like the short-term discomfort for long-term comfort. And that's so how getting out of debt is, if you're going to do it, like he says, gazelle intense, which is like, you're not just going to let it linger and pay the minimums and whatever. It's like hard and fast, because the sooner you get that, the sooner your money's your money, and it can go so much further for you. And so like, I mean, talk about a season of sacrifice. Like oh my gosh, like every last penny was, and then I'm still this way with like our budgets, like every last penny goes, is assigned somewhere. But that was just like really intense, like saying no to a lot of things, like literally not going out to eat. You don't, I mean, you can give yourself some wiggle room with things and place fun things in your budget. Don't think I was like a total psycho and didn't like see any of my friends, but really like I just, it was a lot of sacrifice, in short.
Yeah.
And that played a role in founders, because I did it, like I did my debt hard and fast. And so it was another season of sacrifice. And so, yeah, it was a lot of turning down different trips and things. Granted, we were in like lockdowns, like pretty fresh. So it actually kind of worked to our benefit. There was not a lot of social things to turn down, but it was a lot of time sacrifice and things. And I knew, what the heck, I'll do anything for 6 months if it's going to pay me out for the rest of my life. Did we note that in the beginning, this equity, this percentage that you're going to get out of the that $1 billion is paid to you for the rest of your literal existence, you know, as long as you're still active in the company and things. So I was like, what's 6 months?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And maybe we didn't say what it caps at. The founders payout is an annual bonus, right? And it will gradually increase, and it caps at what's the cap? I don't want to say it wrong.
So it's not a hard cap, because the way that it's paid, I don't want to confuse people on here, but we're tracking dollar amount, but also like the commissionable volume of it. So even though it's 1 billion, it does end up being a little bit less than that. That's like actually commissionable. Basically, it's probably somewhere, once it caps, it'll be somewhere between like $80,000 and $90,000 a year on top of your normal pay. That'll be a check that comes to you every January, February.
Yeah. I mean, it's
going to take time to grow, like you said, right? So it's not going to be that immediately, but like the whole point of this is like seeking out those visionaries and people that are in it for the long term to do the work and represent the company, and then have that pay out pretty sweet one day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think visionary is the word that you just said, and it's so true. You really have to be able to catch this vision. To be able to see past what's happening right now and see what can come in the future. And I know for me, my husband and I have some goals that are separate from dōTERRA, some goals that for us are the most important things. But this when I heard founders, I was like, oh, this is the vehicle that's going to get us there. And so when you are able to kind of look at your life long term, then those short term sacrifices are a lot easier. And I like what you said. You could do anything for 6 months. Um, that that's pretty awesome. It says a lot about you too. It says a lot about you and your character and kind of how you're built. But I think also after doing that, making that kind of a sacrifice, you trust yourself. You know you can do the hard thing. So I love that. You were Was this like super easy? I feel like because you're so disciplined and you're so, all the things. So it's really easy for you, right? Like you're different than everybody else. So it was easy for you, right?
No, like, I mean, I think there's things, sure, that I mean, we all have our top strengths, right? And so like one of my top is maximizer and my two is futuristic. So again, felt like this was like really made for me. Some people
Mhm.
don't have that grit to do the really hard work to reap it later. Like a lot of people
Mhm.
don't have that. So sure, I have that. But again, I think that was developed. I think that was a muscle that
Mhm.
I flexed, like with paying off my debt and things like that. And other areas of my life too. I definitely have always done that, but it's not just something, I mean, it's really like going against your flesh, right? Like
Mhm.
it is that discipline. And I think a common misconception sometimes like with that is, and sometimes it is this way, but like, like that, like, oh, you must be so disciplined. And it's like, yeah, but it's like, because I actively every day have to fight my flesh. Like it's not
Right,
just
right.
like up and you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I think I don't think I'm anything that crazy other than if you want to pinpoint it, I would say it's that I have, that futuristic quality and that I'm willing to do the hard work now. But other than that, I mean, there's no magic sauce. Like there's no, you know what I mean? Like people are always searching for like, oh my gosh, like how'd you do it? What was the thing? And I'm like, I can share those, and I'm happy to do that. I love to do that because it's going to resonate with somebody. But like my thing is, and I said this like the day that it was announced, and my inbox was flooded. Right? I I was like, you guys, when the 200 spots are filled, there will be 200 different stories. I promise you. Not any two. Like, honestly, even if you look at the founders that there are now, and like I'm,
Mhm.
friends with them now, and it's a great group of people. But oh my gosh, even all of us, so different. Our
Mhm.
stories are so different. Our methods are different. Yeah, sure, there's some overlap, but um, all that to say, I don't think I did anything that special. I just didn't stop and I just had a plan.
I love that. You just did, well, you have a plan, right? Because otherwise it's just a dream. And you didn't stop because I will tell you. So, a couple people have reached out to me who are in a similar spot that I am. I have 600, a little over 600 points,
Woohoo!
and it feels, yay! It feels, I feel like I'm at like oh, we gotta go, but I don't have any steam or something's off. Like I feel a little stuck, right? And all of us were like, yeah, but you cannot come this far to only come this far, right? So there's a tenacity, right, that is required to do something like this because it's not easy for anybody. No founder, no dime. I don't think anybody that does well in this industry can say that it's just easy. Oh, it's just an easy thing. I mean, it takes work, and it takes, you have to be tenacious and be very clear on what you want, and then have a plan to back that up and be willing to push through when when it gets hard, because it will get hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I like one of the things that you said is that you talked about founders every day, like with what your husband and just to everybody. Is that how you what kept you kind of focused when it got
Not to
difficult?
everybody, not to everybody, which is interesting because like uh, some people that was their thing and they would like shout it from the rooftops on like their social media or whatever. But for some
Hmm.
reason, I did not do that. So the first thing we did, and I think because I can't stress this enough off of what we just like were talking about. I did it scared. Like I did it scared for sure. Like
Hmm.
when it was announced, I kid you not, and I've said this on a couple different places now, but I literally was sitting sitting on the kitchen floor, uh, pretty much on the verge of tears. There might have been actual tears and like trembling when it was announced, just when I was talking to my husband about it, because we sat and talked about it for like hours and hours and hours, because I was like, this is it. And I was like, I'm so scared because I know
You
I'm
know
the
it's it.
founder, and I know all the work that I'm about to have to do. And like, what if I fall short and I'm going to regret it because I feel called to it? And like, I felt so called to it that I couldn't not go for it. So it felt like, well, darn, I have to go for it because it was literally created for me. Like, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
So I actually I had a lot of nerves actually during all of it because I just didn't want to fall short. And whether that's, I'm not saying you do what you feel. If you want to shout it from the rooftops, you shout it from the rooftops. But what we did was, me and my husband would talk about it every single day and pray on it every single day and night. And we immediately after we were like, hey, this is something we're going to do, which again was within hours of when they announced it. We texted all of our really close friends and family and asked them. They didn't even know what the heck this was really at all, and barely even understand really doTERRA as a whole. But there are close people, and we just said like, this is something we're going for. I know you don't understand it, but just like, could you be our prayer warriors for the next 6 months? And so they did. So I talked about it with the right people.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So there's a lot of people watching, a lot of existing wellness advocates, maybe some that have, no points to maybe 200 points, or those are a little further away, or closer to it. Any words of advice for those various kind of benchmarks?
Yeah. Okay, so if you're assuming you're newer, like let's say below gold. I'm just gonna be real about this.
Please.
As much as I want the spots, those like 175-ish to fill in, which they will, I really want people to actually take their time. And I know this sounds backwards coming from me because I did it in 6 months, but I don't want to give the wrong thing there. If you're in the position and the season and the calling to go hard and fast, you go hard and fast. And that's kind of how it was for me. I was set right up perfectly. Like I said, I felt like it was for me. And the season we were in, like the beginning of all the lockdowns and stuff, actually played in our favor. I had a newborn. I was home anyway. So all of that, like we were called to do it that way. I don't want people to hear that and think they have to do it that way. And I was telling people that they did for a while because it was true at one point. They thought this was another thing to bring context for people listening. We thought this was all 200 would be filled in like 12 to 18 months. It's now,
it's 2 years.
As of 15th, been 2 years, and there's 175 left, give or take. So this is why my frame of thinking and my approach even with my team has shifted a little bit. I don't think we should drag our feet on it, but now that it's been so long and some people have been going for it for 2 years, that's when we start stepping into burnout culture. And I'm not about that, even though like, I know it sounds backwards coming from me because like, oh, I did my debt in a year. I did founders in 6 months. But those are seasons. And when you can see, like, you just don't want a busy season to turn into a busy life. And so if you can identify that, that's why we said 6.5 months, whatever it was, we're like, that's our end date, maybe with a grace month or two after if we had to shift our plan. But like, now having this go so long, like you're seeing people burn out. And that's why it's taking so long to fill them, because it's taking so long. People thought they would fill in. So then they're like, oh, I'm going to give up because they're going to be filled. And well, and then a whole year later, they're like, should I consider it again? Like there's still spots open. So people in the beginning, it was hard and fast. And even for me, that's one of the reasons I was set up for it. But I also thought spots were going to fill in 6 months because it's such a killer thing. So what I am getting at here is build for sustainability. Because you don't want to get there and crash and burn and not even be able to actually uphold all that you just built. And like, I'll even say, just to be transparent for me too, like I was set up nicely for it, but like, guys, once again, I'm just like you, and I have leader after leader quit all the time. And you have to rebuild things and you have to keep going. It's not just, oh, I'm across the finish line now, kick my feet up, forever. So, so I would say build for sustainability, and the points will come with that. Build
Absolutely.
towards the ranks that you need for the points, but don't be so point obsessive that your business has a lot of holes and it's not on a good foundation.
Yeah. I love that because I just think I knew I was gonna have to go slow. And I was just thinking to my slower than I would like to, right? Just because of some, age maybe. And I had a lot of, I just didn't have a solid organization ever really. So I knew there was a lot that I needed to do. And so, as I've learned and talked to other leaders and talked to other founders, that's the one thing that's in my head. It's like, no, 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 no. I have to build this solid. It has to be sustainable beyond this. Like it has to be, when I get it, I need to feel like sustaining it is not going to be an issue. I don't want to have to go back and rebuild, which we know that's part of it. And I'm so glad that you said that. I'm so glad that Heather Reed has builders who quit, because I think some people think that it's just them. It's like, nah, this is part of the grind. Like this is part of it. It's hard. We
Yeah,
have to rebuild. Yeah. And then any words, I know we're going over. So last thing,
that's okay.
any words of advice for those, okay, this is a selfish question. For those of us who are close and yet so far, for that
Yeah.
last, like pushing to platinum has been hard.
Hmm.
Any words of advice?
Yeah, yeah, because I have a couple leaders in the same position, and it is hard because you don't want to burn out there, because depending where you're at, that last chunk of points can actually be the hardest because you kind of
Mhm.
tapped out, or at least, once you're talking about like, getting to platinum and things like that. I mean, it looks different for each person, what ranks they need to hit, but yeah, you got to get creative, because even it was that way for me as well. So like when I hit platinum the 3 times and then diamond the 3 times, I still needed points. It's like, where do you go from there? Because I wasn't going to go blue that quick. Like, so
Mhm.
you have to call out leaders that that maybe are in your organization already, and just really like partner with them and help them catch the vision.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, invite people to run with you is how you have to do it, because you can't do it for them. And when you do, you're gonna it's not gonna be great, because it's not gonna be sustainable, and you're gonna have resentment, and it's gonna kill
Mhm.
your team culture. So
Yeah.
yeah, like, and that's when I feel you should talk about it more. I once I actually hit founders and got over myself and my own like fear of like, could I really do it, that's when I started talking about it more, and it does attract a crap ton of people. So I do think
Mhm.
you should talk about it,
Mhm.
and call people to do it with you, whether they are brand new or again in your organization. You might even have to kind of like tap root and go
Yeah.
a little bit lower. But again, I would just say don't burn out. When you're really close, you can do that crazy last stretch for sure. But man, I don't know. There's no secret sauce. It's like you just got to keep going, because at this point, we don't know how long it's going to take for
Mhm.
them to close. And I mean that in both senses of, it could be a couple months or it could be this time next year. Like, we really
Mhm.
honestly don't know, if we're just being real about it.
Yeah.
So all you can do from there, you can't obsess over, is it going to be this month or is it whatever. You need to just keep building and being consistent.
Mhm.
Consistent is the biggest thing to take away,
Mhm.
because here's the other thing too. When we build our businesses and hit these kinds of ranks, eventually, when we're solid and things like this down the road, well, by the time that founder's check maxes out, it's sweet. Another 80K a year is really sweet passively, but it's going to be a drop in the bucket compared to the income, that
Right.
opportunity we can make just by ranking.
Yep. And that's why I love this opportunity and I love this company, because this is just additional to what you're already doing. You're building really, really good habits, and just building a solid business. Carissa, I love you. And just
Is Chris
building a,
on?
yeah, she's here. Um, so yeah, so I think it's great, and being consistent is the name of the game, and just don't give up. Because even if I remember being a little girl and I read this somewhere, it says always shoot for the moon. And even if you miss, you'll still be amongst the stars, right? So that's kind of what I've always thought. Like I'm gonna just go for it. And even if I don't, I will. But even if I don't, I will have built a sustainable business. And I think you just froze. Oh no. Can you guys still see me? Am I still going? I think so. Um, I lost her. No. Well, she's probably gonna come back here in just a second. Does anybody have any questions that you want to drop in the chat for for her when she comes back? Let's see. Oh no, I can't even.
Oh my gosh, am I
There
back?
you
I'm
are.
so
There you
sorry. I don't
are.
know what happened.
No, okay. I was just, did you hear my, reach for the moon, even if you miss, there'll
Yes.
be a moon. So, yeah. So the same thing with this business is that you're doing this, but at the end of it, you've created a solid, sustainable business that's going to well exceed the founder's payout, which is great. Um, all right. I don't want to keep you all day. I do, but I want to be sensitive to your time. Thank you so, so, so much for joining us. And there's been lots of comments um, that I'll need to go back and read. But thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you Heather for making time. And congratulations on all of the success over the past few years. And I can't wait to meet you in person.
Thank you, thank you. And it was my pleasure. And I look forward to you joining us in the Founders Club.
Yes, it'll be soon. It'll be soon.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good weekend. See you later. Bye,
Okay, bye
everybody.
guys.
Okay, bye.